So this is the tangram station. First thing you're going to do is take a white cardstock and write your name on the very bottom as neatly as you can. Next, you're choosing a color of construction paper that you like. I'm going to choose this pink. And then you're going to lay out the tangrams to make a design. You want to make sure that all the edges touch. So now I have my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tangrams, and I'm using only one color. I need to make sure that the edges touch, at least in part. So it shouldn't be point touching, but a flat side touching. So for example, over here, this is a flat side touching. If I did this, that's a point touching. So we don't want to do the points. We want to have at least part of a flat side touching. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull some of these together, make any design. And the idea here is that people have to come back later and try to build this. They'll figure it out, hopefully. And so here we go. And like I said, they had to have a flat side, at least in part. Let's see, I think this will maybe fit in here that way. Let's do that. Good. And you have to mess around a little bit to get it to go exactly how you want. I'm going to just pull this little flat side like that. Oops. And then this one up here. Okay, so then I have my design. The next thing is the adult is going to trace carefully with a black marker because it needs to be as precise as possible. And while the adult is tracing yours, you can do the next. The next step is to take one of the samples from another class in another year out of the folder that's there, and you're going to take your tangrams and try to build it. So you can see I have this one. I'm just going to go ahead and try to build it. I'm going to put this triangle here because it looks like it fits. Sometimes it might be a little tricky. So you'll do your best. I know that 2 big rectangles can make a square, so I'm going to try that with this one here. Yep, that works. Ooh, and I'm looking here, and this one looks like it should fit here, although, oh, I don't know, it's a little off. Maybe if I go this way. Oh yeah, there it goes. Fits right there. So this one's maybe a little easier to build. And I know I can have a square, and look, 1 square is left, and I know that I can make a square with 2 triangles. So this will complete this tangram. And then I want to show my partner and make sure they agree. And I can keep playing with that until it's time to go to the next station. So here's a sample of one that was traced precisely. You can see that the edges are real straight. So adult helpers, just be patient as you can to cut these out. Trace it as best you can, and then cut it out with the sharp scissors and glue it onto the student's white cardstock. If you are unable to get to the cutting, that's fine. Just trace as best you can the outline and write their name on the back of the construction paper as well, and I can later cut them out. Thank you. Okay, the versatiles could be a little tricky, so let me just kind of show how that works. You can see I've got letters on the bottom and numbers on the top, and I'm going to try to take each number listed on the card and put it in the appropriate answer letter. So look at the card. So here we've got, for example, it says number 1, and I'm supposed to tell what coin is shown. Well, I know that that's a penny, right? So I'm going to look down at the answer box here, and I see J says 1 cent or penny. So I want to find my number 1 for question number 1 and put it in the answer letter J, because that's where the answer is. So I'm going to go back to my versatiles, going to pull my number 1 out, find J, H-I-O-J, there it is, and put number 1 in there. Okay, so let's just do another example. Let's look at number 2. That looks like a nickel to me. I know a nickel is 5 cents. Let me look at the answer box with the letters so I can find out where to put it. 5 cents is a nickel. I see that in letter E. Okay, good. So I'll put number 2, because that's the one I'm working on, in letter E, because E is the answer. So there's my E. I find my number 2. I put it in E. And I can complete doing this till the end, and then I'll show you how to check it. Okay, so I've answered them all, and you can see I have my numbers all in here. Now the next thing I'm going to do is carefully close the versatile, and then I'm going to flip it over. Then I'm going to open the versatile up. Next, I'm checking the design. So that you can see above the answer, there's a little design that looks like this. Alrighty, and then I'm going to compare that picture to the back of the versatiles. Does it match? It sure looks like it matches to me, so that means it's correct. Okay, so you're going to take the Where I Live in the World paper that's already on black, and you're going to make the house that goes with it. You're going to design it sort of like your house. You can use similar colors or brighten them up a little bit, but the big trick is you're going to have to just cut. So we're going to try not to draw, we're going to try just to actually cut squares and triangles and such to be able to create the house. I'm looking at Alana's as a sample here. You can see here's her black paper, and of course all of these are found on the back table. They're all in a stack ready for you to be working, along with some colored paper. Alright, okay, so I'm going to choose yellow. It's kind of close to the color of my house. My house is a little bit cream color, but I like yellow for this because it's just a little bit brighter. And I know that my house is kind of got, let's see, a tall rectangle that shows like the garage, and then it goes up to the second story to the bedrooms, and then I have like a second part that has where my door is. So I'm going to just cut this, but first I want to make sure that it's, you know, a straight rectangle, so I'm going to crease it and fold it first, putting edge to edge and smoothing it out. I'm going to do that, and then I have my line that I know it's about even then, and I can cut on that line. So next I'm choosing red for my roof, and you can see I'm just taking my house, this is going to be my house, a rectangle, and I'm going to line it with the corner of the paper, because my roof's kind of a triangle, but I don't want it to be, you know, like this. I want it to stick out a little bit, so I'm going to pull it down here or so, and that's going to give me an idea where I'm going to cut. So I'm going to cut right across here. Now if I want to, I can use a ruler. It's okay to do that. Use a ruler and some pencil lines if you want. So I'll show you how I might do that. So now I'm just going to put the ruler kind of where I want to cut on the red. It's about here, I think, and I can just take my pencil, I'm going to take it and draw a line right here. And then that's the line I'll cut on. So now I've got kind of the base of my house, my two-story yellow house, and then my roof that's red. Of course I'll do some gluing, but I don't like to glue it till I kind of get my parts situated. So I think that's probably okay. I don't think I'm going to add much more except detail like the chimney on the top and the windows and the doors and things, so I can glue it where it is right now. So next I'm thinking about my door. I actually have a red door, so I'm going to kind of use my ruler and think about how tall it should be. So I think for my house, they'll half this thing, right? Because that's about 7 inches or something like that, about there. So my door is not even quite half of that. So let's see. 3 plus 3 is 6, so it's about half. So I think it's probably going to be about 3 inches tall. And it's probably going to be, oh, I don't know, 2 inches wide. So I'm going to just measure that here. And of course you can eyeball it or measure it, but I like to kind of measure if I can. So I see 2 inches wide right here. So I'm just going to mark a little line right there. 2. And then I said about 3 inches tall. So I'm going to measure about 3 inches tall and mark a line at the top. It's kind of hard to do it with one hand. Here we go. Then I'm going to draw lines straight up and across. You'll see in a second. So now I drew the little lines based on the marks I made with the straight ruler, and I'm going to cut on those lines, and that's going to be my door. So there's my door on my house, you can see. So I've also got windows. There's some windows on the top, and there's some windows kind of next to the door, and I'm going to cut those out. My windows tend to be more white on the frame, so I'm going to cut out some rectangles. Again, I can use my ruler if I want to help me cut straight lines. I can draw with a pencil and kind of measure and guess what size they should be. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that and show you when I'm done. So you can see I kind of measured up there. I used my ruler to do a straight line and kind of estimated the size of my windows, and now I'm going to cut them out. Okay, you can see that I put the door and the windows on, and then I have those kind of windows that have the panes in it, So I put the little brown crosses on the windows. Now I decided the top window in the middle has a curtain in it. That's Kelly's room, and it's kind of a purple curtain. So I cut out a square, or kind of a rectangle, right, and then just cut it in half. And that's going to become the curtain. So I'm going to just put those on up here. I think you're seeing my hand, sorry about that. But you can see I'm just going to put them up here. I'm going to glue that down, and then the last thing I think I'm going to add is a chimney, because I have a fireplace, and that's going to be brown on the top. And then I'm also going to put a little circle doorknob.